It is 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. If you'll please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Johnson will kick us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I would like to make a recommendation to change the agenda and to have item number 2 become staff updates and applicant updates before we move into the public comments, just to inform our neighbors about any updates or changes or information that might be relevant to their public comments related to the conditional use permit. Do I have a motion to move staff updates and applicant updates to item number 2 before public comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, let's do, any discussion? All right, let's do roll call.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lyman,
Aye.
Commissioner Scary,
Aye.
Commissioner Sowers,
Aye.
Chairperson Knies.
Aye. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much. So item number 2 will now be staff updates, and then we'll get an update from the applicant. And the reason why I make this change, I'm recommending we make this change, is that way, and from our last meeting, it gives people an update on what's happening. And then also, if anyone's here to make public comments on the conditional use permit, they have the most updated information and they can make comments related to that. So, thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Evening.
The purpose of this request is to permit the use of a planned housing development, or PHD, with a proposal of 28 residential units on approximately 2.031 acres. I want to remind Commissioners that multifamily development is a by right use on this property. As noted during the public hearing, the applicant submitted a by right 20-unit development very similar to the one before you for administrative site plan review. That site plan proceeded through review by staff and reached technical approval in April of 2025. The proposed development before you aligns with most multifamily development regulations. However, it increases the total unit count from the by right 20 units to a 28-unit planned housing development. The request is for deviations from the standard unit count in a singular building, maximum height of the structure, and increased density. It is because of these proposed deviations that you have before you the conditional use permit request for planned housing. As noted in the public hearing, the project aligns with the town's comprehensive plan and future land use map, located partially within the downtown urban development area, offering additional multifamily housing in an area deemed appropriate for higher density. There were a few items that Commission asked staff to research and provide updates on. These updates have been provided in the staff report and packet. While we do not have data on bus ridership specific to downtown, a bus service map was provided that shows those downtown service locations. Town planning and engineering staff looked at First and Angle Streets for street widths, on-street parking concerns, and the possibility of closure of Angle Street to through traffic. Starting with the closure of Angle Street, staff determined that the street closure would be detrimental to interconnectivity and emergency services access, and it would not provide adequate space for vehicles to turn around. Looking at the street width for First and Angle Streets, Commission had asked staff to provide street widths for Angle Street and this portion of First Street. Staff measured and found the width of Angle Street ranged from 15 feet to 16 feet, and the width of this portion of First Street ranged from 16 to 17 feet. If these streets were built today, based on current VDOT design standards, the minimum road width would be 18 feet with no on-street parking allowed. In your packet, you have that VDOT table called Geometric Design Standards for Residential and Mixed-Use Subdivision Streets. If you look at note 11 on there, that's for streets like this that have that ultra-low traffic count, and that's where it shows that 18 feet no on-street parking. That's if those streets were to be built today. Regarding the concern about on-street parking, staff examined the possibility of designating Angle and First Streets as no parking. A site visit showed that existing residents regularly use the ample off-street right-of-way to park vehicles. There is sufficient room off the pavement, but within the right-of-way for vehicles to park without adversely impacting the travel lanes. While the design of the streets supports signing as no parking, that 18 feet no parking, staff does not support bringing this forward to street committee at this time. Regarding the connection to Christmas Street, Christmas.
'Tis the season.
Yep, Christmas Street. Over the course of the site design process, there have been two general layouts proposed. The first layout were townhomes, which included a connection on Christman. The second layout is significantly different with 2 apartments and no connection. That's basically what you're seeing. In your packet, there was an email provided from Joshua Middleton, the Assistant Director of Engineering. And he states that though the past and current layouts do not seem to support the connection, it's likely that a layout is feasible that would support a connection to Chrisman. The applicant has not suggested any conditions, but town staff recommends the following conditions. Number 1, the project shall be developed in general conformance with the master plan submitted dated September 22nd, 2025. Number 2, the approved conditional use permit shall only be for the specific residential use as described in this application. 3, applicant shall maintain a row of no fewer than 5 evergreen screening trees along the shared boundary with tax parcel 526-A-136. Staff has added the following recommended condition after the public hearing. Number 4, the required front, side, and rear yards shall be increased 1 foot for each foot in height over 35 feet. The master plan submitted demonstrates compliance with this last proposed condition. The typo in the rear setback has been corrected in the latest narrative that you should have received on Friday. After you got the first packet, there was a revised one that shows that that was corrected to 33 feet. And staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. All right, and then at this time, we'll give the applicant opportunity if they want to share any updates from last meeting, and then we'll continue on with our agenda for the evening.
Okay. All right, this is the first time I'm actually going to say this. So Steve Simonis with Westwood Professional Services. So we have officially made our transition to Westwood. That happened last year. We merged with Westwood Professional Services, national design firm. So we've been operating as Balzer and Associates, a Westwood company. So today is the first day. So you are the first public body I've said that to in 28 years. So thank you for the time. Devin, could you pull up? So just a few updates. First of all, we agree with staffs. They went out and measured the street. We did some measurements as well. We saw the same measurements of First Street. Battery's gone. As well on First Street there. And what I wanted to talk through was when we had gotten the emails from Joshua. I want to explain these two because I did tell Planning Commission we can't physically get a road from our site the way it's designed down to Christmas Street because of the grade. So this was the first layout as was mentioned in the staff report. So this was 23 bedroom townhomes that we had in here. What you'll see, and the pointer's not working, the clicker is, but the pointer's not. But as you can see, we kind of curved that road and tie in to Christmas Street like that. That's the only way we were able to get enough road length to make that grade elevation up. It got too steep if we just try to go from the parking lot straight down, so we had to kind of curve it in. What you also see down in the lower left-hand corner of that drawing is a box. That's an underground stormwater detention system. So when we ran numbers on this initially, the grading and the stormwater management, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, was extremely expensive. So we weren't able to price these townhomes, these 20 townhomes, in a market price that we thought would be reasonable here in Christiansburg. So when we took that and we went back to, the other piece of it is Chrisman actually comes in a little bit north, page north of that, showing where we're tying out right there. So it's a little bit awkward of an intersection that you're offset. So typically, we don't like to do that because when you come into an offset intersection, it's a little confusing for a driver to know who goes first. You're close enough to just make it confusing. When we went to the second layout, this was the one that we had submitted and gone through technical approval on. Obviously, as you can see, the layout's a little bit different. The units are pushed down further on the hill. But what we were able to do is do an open stormwater facility and make up that grading where we didn't have the access road down. So if you look at our current layout, if you took a grade straight down from our parking lot, those upper left-hand parking spaces, and took a grade from that elevation straight down. So that's just literally like this. So if our parking lot and then Chrisman Street down here, that's without a transition, that would be over a 13% grade, which is too steep. You'd be bottoming your cars out or grinding as you come down off of the top. If we wanted to try to do that circular driveway that we showed on the townhouse, we end up in the same situation where we're forced to go into an underground stormwater management system, which throws us back into the cost implication that we had in the first one. So that's why we do not have that connection down, because again, to keep an open pond with the stormwater and the sidewalk improvements, we're going down Chrisman Street to make that connection from existing Chrisman up to our proposed parking lot. It's too steep. And you can kind of see the grading in our new layout would be very similar to the one you see here. So obviously, as you get down closer to the pond, you see how tight those grades are to get down. So we can't physically make that without changing the access road down to that and then putting it back into an underground system, which kills the project again. So I wanted to touch on those things. A couple other pieces. I know we had received a few some neighbor correspondence as well since this had gone out. So those townhomes, as we're showing in there, those again were 20 3-bedroom units. So that was 60 total bedrooms on that site. What we've got proposed is a total of 54, because again, we've got 1 and 2-bedroom units and 3-bedroom units. So we've actually got less livable bedrooms in our proposal than we did here with the additional units, because we've got 1s and 2s. As we've talked about before, apartments actually have less traffic demand than townhomes do. We did run those numbers quickly. So we're showing, if we went with this layout right here, it'd be about 144 trips a day for a townhome versus the 127 we showed in our application for a multifamily at 28. So again, 20 units of townhomes produces a lot more traffic, and we're going to have more bodies than we would with the proposal as we have in front of you this evening. The last piece, and Ian Friend, again, with our development team, is here. Over the last couple days, we have been working with some of their contractor partners to determine some costs on adding 2 additional feet of pavement to First Street to help offset those concerns about it being 16 feet. So we're working through that right now. What we'd like to do is have a conversation with engineering staff and determine whether that's an appropriate condition that we would volunteer prior to town council. But I believe, Ian, unless you want to state anything, that's kind of what we're looking to do. So we're actively trying to see if that's something that we would be able to build as a separate project away from this to basically add that 2 feet of pavement, or if there's a way that we could financially contribute that to the town and the town forces could do that, with their next street widening project. So we are looking at that separately. We can't commit to that tonight, but we were just getting numbers back here this afternoon, but we are going to have a discussion with the town manager's office and the engineering department to see if that's something we might be able to do.
Thank you.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, with that, I'm going to close the staff and applicant update, which is our new item number 2. We'll now move on to item number 3, new item number 3, public comments. So at this time, if anyone is here to address the planning commission about anything at all, including the action item related to the conditional use permit, Now would be the time to do that, because once we close public comments, we'll move to commissioners having a conversation, asking staff or applicant more questions. So this is the time to address Plan Commission. If you want to say something, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and we're going to try and limit comments to 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is David Omasinski. I live at 111 Longview Drive. Basically, my biggest concern is the fact that while you think maybe adding 2 feet to the road might help, that still does not give enough room for 2 vehicles to pass by safely. I'm not sure what Virginia Department of Transportation guidelines you saw, but the ones that I saw said that a single lane road should be at least 12 feet. So in order to have 2 vehicles passing by each other, the road needs to be at least 24 feet wide, if not wider. There's also been many studies that the U.S. Department of Transportation did on roads similar to ours about the percentage of accidents or other bad things happening due to the width of the road and the amount of traffic on those roads. And our road basically falls in the worst possible scenario ever there. Not only is it small, but there's a very sharp 90-degree turn. I'm not sure what fire truck could ever turn down that road if ever need be, because it's just not built to support that. Even an ambulance would probably have problems going down Angle and then turning onto First Street. So to think that we can put 50 people all driving in that same area just, to me, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially when the vast majority of the neighborhood is families like mine with little kids or elderlies who go around walking their dogs and other things. It just doesn't make a whole lot of safety sense to do this. I think that having affordable housing in Christiansburg is a great idea because housing and everything is outrageous, like everywhere. And I think that there needs to be more options, but I just don't think that putting the only entrance and exit to this community right there is the safest or best option. And talking about the right-of-way, I'll say that I am probably the only person on my street that uses that, and that's because I have to. My driveway does not support my vehicles, so I have to park my cars there. So if that gets taken away from me, then I have no place to put my cars. And that doesn't really work for me or my family or the safety of everybody else, because then I'm going to be like parked in the street. And if somebody has to come plow the snow or a safety vehicle needs to come by, they won't be able to. Like a single vehicle can literally block that whole road. It might be 16 feet wide, but you could literally block the entire road with one car, like a small car. It just doesn't, unfortunately, support the amount of traffic that will inevitably go through there. People are not going to be walking. I wish more people did walk and that more people would take public transportation and these sort of things, but the people moving in here are not going to walk. They're going to all have cars, and there's nowhere for them to go. And that's unfortunate, but like that's just how it looks like it's going to happen. In my experience, living in many other apartments and things, I'm not sure this whole less people drive cars when they live in apartments, because every apartment complex I've ever lived in, every single person had a vehicle. So I'm not sure, again, how we can say, oh, there's apartments, there are going to be less people driving or that sort of thing. So again, my biggest concern is just that this development will cause an unreasonable amount of unsafe opportunities to happen in the area to make it such that less people with families will want to be in this neighborhood. And the neighborhood, then people will likely leave, and then I don't know who's going to come in, and then that just means that like my neighborhood and my family's life and everything gets like dropped down just because like we wanted to fit 1 million people down a road that can barely support one car. Again, I want people to have affordable housing, especially here in Christiansburg. I don't see how it could work in this area or this configuration. And I know that those the townhouses proposed originally, even that would have caused problems because again, all those people have cars, they're gonna have to come this way. It just is gonna cause a huge traffic jam almost like every day. And no one's gonna be able to play outside. No kids are gonna be able to play outside and ride bikes or any of this stuff because they're just gonna be afraid that they're gonna get run over by a car because there's so many people there in the area. Thank you for listening and hope we can come to a peaceful agreement for all this.
Thank you. Do I have anyone else wishing to address the Planning Commission?
Hi there, my name is Travis Story. I live at 114 Scattergood, right behind the CrossFit. Read the previous plans, getting a long way through this process. I recognize that there has been a slight decrease in capacity of by putting more single rooms in, but there's also been a drastic reduction in street access. Those original plans did have access via Chrisman. I understand that there are money concerns. We all here live within our means. I understand that there are profits to be made. There's however you want to look at it. We are all neighbors here, and it's important to keep that in mind. We're not talking theoretically about this traffic problem. We're talking about David and his family here being able to safely go out and walk their dog. My parents live right next door, actually, to them. And they are some of the elderly people that are out walking their dogs in the evening. So that is my main concern. Regarding the traffic generation information, I was going to make a request regarding the Code of Ordinances for Christiansburg, Section 4028 Charlie. But the applicant has said that they have generated traffic numbers. So I would be eager to see what traffic numbers they have and how that works in line with the Code of Ordinances 3423. And I am raising a traffic-related concern regarding Code of Ordinance 3423. I am concerned with that one entrance, that it is just going to be a nightmare. Even if nobody needs an ambulance, nobody needs a fire truck, having that many people come out through that little section, I think is asking for problems. I would say that I would encourage all members of the committee to go look at where this is suggested. I think it'll be great to have apartments there. I look forward to having new neighbors. I do think that the initial plans, additional street access was much more realistic in terms of livability and this being a nice place to live and a safe place to raise your kids. I don't think that the current plan accounts for that. I understand that there are grading problems and maybe there are some other technical issues with making this expensive, but if it's something you can't afford, it's something you can't afford. There is no Santa Claus in Christiansburg for housing. Sorry. He doesn't do houses, he comes into houses. That's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for making that adjustment for any children who might be watching.
Chris Waltz, 1370 Rigby Street. I mean, I ain't really got a dog in the hunt on this one, but when I looked at the public hearing and this stuff, and some of the stuff, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again here. One, I mean, personally as a citizen, I feel that CUPs, which means that you're asking for something special, should be the exception, not the rule. You're asking for a variance that goes above and beyond what you have the right to do. And it's the same with most of these. You've got concerns from the citizens, some valid concerns, and sometimes they get looked over because of the not so valid concerns, like I read about the view. Sorry you've been looking at Bambi for 20 years at your back door, but you don't own the property, and somebody has a right to put something there. Not their problem. Or Virginia Tech College students. If I'm not mistaken, we have it where only 2 people unrelated can live, any more than that can't live in the same building. So if you have a 3-bedroom apartment and you have 3 students, unless they're related somehow, they can't live there anyway. Right or wrong, I don't know how it works. If you got 2 brothers that have a townhome and they both decide to get engaged at the same time and go, well, now you're in violation because you're not actually married, which means you're not related. But it already is addressed, but traffic and everything else, children's safety, stuff like that. Emergency vehicles, we just totaled a ladder truck not 2 months ago. I think it was totaled. Either that or it's going to be more than $1 million to fix, and we paid over $1 million for it. That's an issue that you all should take into consideration. And the developers, they always go, well, we need the 8 more to make it where it'll be feasible for whatever. The 8 more means that you recover your initial investment sooner, because that's how businesses and stuff like that work. If you build apartments, the first rent that you get goes to pay off the money you invested in the apartments until it becomes pure profit. Once your initial investment is recouped. You know, there's just so much on both sides that it makes no sense. And, you know, again, this is supposed to be a thing for, you're asking for special privilege. It's not required. You have what you have as a right, and you're asking for a privilege. And I don't think that this board or town council or anybody else necessarily always takes that into consideration the way they should. But hopefully, like I said, I don't have a dog in the hunt on this one, but it's the same over and over again. And there are traffic concerns, there are safety concerns, and, you know, they need to be addressed one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian Friend, SAS Builders, but also Citizen 185 Wooden Shoe Court. I just want to clarify one thing for the public and for the commission. We did show a previous townhome plan, which had been by right, but the plan that went through technical review was an apartment plan, 20 units, and it had one access going out through Angle First. It did not have an access going through Crispin. So I just wanted to clarify that the plan, the backup plan to this would be the one access through First and Angle. Either way, it's just now that we hear these concerns, we want to try to address them with the road widening, if we can work that out with staff. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments of any kind related to anything that you want to bring before the Planning Commission tonight? All right, seeing none, we will close public comments, which is item 3 on our agenda for the night. Okay, moving on, we'll move on to now new item number 4, approval of Planning Commission minutes for December 1st, 2025. Do I have any edits, changes, comments about the minutes from December 1st? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I can motion.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Let's do roll call.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lyman,
Aye.
Commissioner Scary,
Aye.
Commissioner Sowers, Chairperson Kanice.
Aye. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 5 now, which is the discussion and action related to item A, the conditional use permit request. Let me go ahead and just open it to our commissioners. Comments, questions, reactions to things you heard this evening. The agenda packet.
I'll start.
Please.
I think that the width of First Angle are just too narrow. I'm not comfortable with the traffic.
It definitely feels like it should be a one-way street. I absolutely, when you're through there, it feels like there should be a one-way sign. Okay.
I've driven over there, but I can't remember what the speed limit is. I'm assuming it's
I would assume
25?
Because it's residential.
25.
We're in a neighborhood, so
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's 25.
Okay.
I feel like you'd be hard-pressed to go 25 on some of those streets, but.
Yeah.
On Angle,
It should be 25. I don't think
I don't think
Angle or First Street have a posted
I didn't see it.
limit,
yeah.
but the other streets there are all 25.
Okay.
I also
Thank
love
you.
our officer.
Well, I could have Forgot you were there.
25.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say before I start, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112, Section B1, and 2.2-3115, Section H, I am declaring that I am a member of one of three or more businesses that may be affected by Agenda Item 5. As an owner of an electrical and electronic security contractor, I am able to participate in the discussion and voting on this matter fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. So, a couple things that came up during the meeting and since last meeting. Basically, as I understand it, they already have site approval by right for 20 apartments?
Yes.
Yeah. 20 apartments, which would exit on Angle. So I think what we're being asked here is, do we want to give them or recommend the planned housing development, which would be a conditional use permit? And I agree that in general, some conditional use permits are something special. I think in this case, though, it's a little bit different because planned housing development can't be done any other way besides a conditional use permit. So I think what we're looking at here is the additional 8 units total for the project. And I think given the need for housing in Christiansburg, especially something a little more affordable, I am inclined to vote yes on this. So that's just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the other deviations is the height.
Right.
It's 35 feet is the standard,
Correct.
and we're going up 43 feet. And I believe the applicant explained if we were to just go straight across with a flat roof, it would basically be around the 35 feet. And so with the peak on it, which then would look like a normal apartment complex, you're having to go up to 43 feet. That's my understanding. Okay.
Other commissioner comments or questions? Some of you look like you're having some deep thoughts, so I'm curious if you want to share them. I have no issue with the density. I have no issues with the apartments. I think it's relevant. I think they're needed. I really want to see that exit out to Chrisman, and I know that that is more expensive, and it's a constant balance between, I think from our seat, helping builders in the area to put in affordable housing where we need it, and also protecting the community members that already live around. And so I definitely think putting apartments there next to these houses, I mean, that's going to change it some, but I think it's a really relevant spot to put apartments. So I don't have an issue with apartments. But it is hard for me to envision folks coming and going through Angle. And I know that that's been approved by the town. And again, that's the piece where the by right is allowed. So for everybody in this room, it is very possible that depending on what town council says, they could revert right back to the by right. And so and have the slightly smaller number of units, but still come out onto First and Angle. But it is hard for me to recommend giving that entrance and exit. I really would want to see a different layout that does not impact that neighborhood. And I don't even think making it one way, which it feels like it should be a one-way street, I don't even think making it one way is gonna really impact the traffic that much. It still feels like it's too much for me. And so I feel like we've been here now quite a few times this year where the housing makes sense to me, but it's the how are we filling in and protecting our neighborhoods that exist? And I don't know how we can figure out how to move forward with that in a way that's honoring to the housing needs that we have, but also honoring to the community members that are living next to them. So those are my challenges right now.
I'm going to bring up the speed limit one more time, and I think even widening the road might not be beneficial to the extent of the wider the road, the faster you can go. You know, I drive through Oak Tree, and they're parked all on the other side, and it's pretty tough to get through there with one car. And I certainly don't go over 25 miles an hour, officer. And because it's too dangerous. And there are people walking there. And I think it, you know, with the streets the way they are, I think the traffic is going to abide by going slower because it could be a safety issue. The other thing I want to make a point on, we mentioned market price last time on the apartments, and, you know, the cost to the developer is one thing, but if we cause the developer to go back and have additional access and additional cost, he's going to recover his money, and those costs of those apartments are going to go up. And what we talked about is affordable housing, so we want to be careful there too, that we don't end up in a situation where we overprice the apartments for the need that we have today.
You know, I also think the applicant had a good point about the offsetting intersections. That can, and I wonder if that would, I'm no traffic expert, but I wonder if that would potentially cause more accidents than additional traffic on Angle and First. I don't know, but it's just something to think about.
Yeah, and I think it's so hard because, you know, my brain wants more time. Like I want to talk about what does it look like to put a traffic circle
Right.
in. And so it's hard because I see some possible solutions, but those possible solutions cost money and they cost collaboration and research time. And so I don't know if that's where we have to, you know, head in the future is to even know like the impact to the surrounding. Because you could offset that with you know, again, I'm not an engineer, but those are conversations I would like to have, but they are in some ways out of the scope and the time frame in which we have, but they allow us to support housing in a way that still honors the community around it. And that's what I struggle sometimes with our quick turnaround, is I don't think that we're always able to do that. I appreciate that y'all are researching before you go to town council, because I think that gives more opportunity than for town council to say what are some of the middle grounds or what are some different compromises that we don't always have the opportunity at Planning Commission to work through some of those things. So, commissioners, other thoughts or comments? All right, are we ready to take action then? Or are there other questions that folks have that they want answered before they can make a decision?
It's a tough decision. It's, you know, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have someone who's willing to make a motion then? Either to recommend or not recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval with the 4 conditions as proposed by staff.
So then let's go ahead and double check those before we move forward.
Sure.
If staff could bring those up for us, just to make sure everyone is on the same page. And for those of us with limited vision ability, if we could enlarge them. Thank you. Okay. So the first one we have is the project shall be developed in general conformance with the master plan submitted dated September 22nd, 2025. Is that updated with all the numbers? Is that the correct date that we're looking at? Okay. All right. The approved conditional use permit shall only be for the specific residential use as described in this application. App number 3, applicant shall maintain a row of no fewer than 5 evergreen screening trees along the shared boundary with tax parcel 526-A-136. And then condition 4, the required front, side, and rear yard shall be increased 1 foot for each foot in height over 35 feet. And currently, as of what we've seen in the December 15th packet, that is what they currently have. Okay. All right, so those are the 4 conditions. So before we move forward with the possible second, any comments, questions, or edits to those 4 conditions? Okay. Do I have a second then to Mike's recommendation to approve the conditional use permit? with
I'll make a second
conditions? Okay.
with the potential conditions there.
All right, I have a second. Any comments or further discussion before we do roll call? All right, let's do roll call.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lyman,
Aye.
Commissioner Scary,
Aye.
Commissioner Sowers,
No. What's the opposite of aye?
nay.
Sorry.
Chairperson Knies,
Nay. All right, so it passes with a recommendation 4-2 to town council that it be, the recommendation is that the conditional use permit request is approved to town council with the 4 conditions that are listed in the application. The town council will have their public hearing after the new year on Tuesday, January 13th at 7 PM here in this space. And that's confirmed, okay. Is the action still tentative date, or is that one
Yeah.
confirmed?
They
Okay,
will
Approve.
vote on the calendar on the 13th.
once the new town council members are, okay.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, either in the room or those who are watching, if you want to speak regarding the public hearing, go to town council on Tuesday, January 13th at 7 o'clock. They will then take action on the public hearing tentatively, pending the new town council members, Tuesday, January 27th at 7 o'clock. That should be sent out an email once that date is confirmed. Again, you will have opportunity to speak during public comments on Tuesday, January 27th, if you have anything additional you want to share before they take action. Anything else, staff, that folks should know about the public hearing with town council? All right. Thank you all. You're welcome to stay. We're going to move into other business, or you're welcome to depart. We just ask that you do so quietly as we move forward. I have a question.
Is there any way I can ask a question about this real quick?
Yeah, if you'll come to the microphone, just so that way folks online can hear. And your helper can join you.
Yeah, so the original quote plan that's like was approved or whatever that doesn't need this conditional use permit, is that just like they could just go do that at any point?
Yes, so the area is by right.
Even though that it would like cause serious safety problems for the area, like they could just go do that.
Yes, so the area right now by right is allowed to have a certain amount of apartments or townhomes, multifamily in that space. And so as long as they stay within the number of units, within the height requirement, it has been approved by town. Engineering layout has all been accepted with that entrance and exit onto Engle and First Street. So at this point in time, the town has deemed, based on their inspection, that it is safe. So if you have concerns about that, I would recommend meeting with staff and talking about that with them based on the site plan that they have approved
Do you
already.
know if they did any traffic studies or anything before saying that, yeah, that entrance and exit is perfectly fine? Because I haven't seen a single person from the town come through the neighborhood.
I'll have staff. Staff, do you want to answer that?
So as far as traffic studies go, and I'm hoping that, nope, didn't work. May I share the microphone?
Oh, there it goes, maybe.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, as far as traffic studies go, there is a threshold of new trips generated by a project that trips that study that you're talking about, that traffic study. And neither the by right development or this one that's in front of us today trips that. They don't cause it to be required, a traffic study. So it was looked at, the connection onto First and Angle was looked at by staff, but the impact to First and Angle was not a concern that was brought up during the site plan review. The amount of traffic generated by the apartments wasn't enough to cause a concern on those streets.
So I'll just say that seems like really irresponsible to me. I mean, I had a garage.
I'm just going to go ahead right now. So we've already had the public comments, and so we've made our recommendation. So at this time, things that you have to share, I understand your concerns, and I want you to have the opportunity to share them. At this time, though, they need to be taken offline and have that conversation with staff, because that would be related to a decision that town staff has already made that's actually not relevant to what we're looking before us.
So even right now, like, the only town person that I've seen come was to complain to me about my garage, and I feel like that was only complained at because these people are trying to put these apartments here.
Yeah.
And so they're
So,
trying to
yeah.
take my land
Okay.
because they need the space.
All right, I understand it. So we gave you extra time to come up and share your concerns and ask your question, because I want to make sure that all of our citizens are informed about the process. At this time, we're going to be done with hearing from our citizens. I do encourage you, though, to meet with town staff and raise your concerns and ask some more questions about how the process works, and they can inform you there. Thank you for your time this evening. All right. So at this time, we're going to move on. We've now closed item number 5, discussion and action, and we're going to move on to item number 6, other business. Commissioners, do we have any items for the good of the group? Staff, do we have any updates or information that we should be discussing or know about?
We do not have our second meeting this month. We don't have anything on the agenda. So we will meet again after the new year.
Okay. And do we have that date for our first meeting in January?
January 20th,
Okay.
more than likely, unless something changes with the
Okay.
calendar.
Okay.
And then as long as the calendar remains what we have, you'll also have a comprehensive plan subcommittee meeting on February 17th, and that will be at 6.
Okay.
We'll have a commission meeting that day as well.
So February 17th is a subcommittee meeting at 6 PM
And that's a Tuesday.
because the 16th is President's Day?
Yes.
Okay. And then the Planning Commission meeting, we have one at 7 PM. Okay, so January 20th, which is a Monday.
That's a Tuesday as well.
Is it? Is it also MLK Day on that Monday? Okay.
Yeah.
See, look at you helping me. Thank you. So January 20th, Tuesday, is our first one of the year, 7 PM here. The next meeting after that is February 17th, a Tuesday as well, subcommittee meeting at 6 PM, and Planning Commission meeting at 7. All of that is tentative on town council determining their meeting dates and times for 2026.
And if you don't take action on January 20th for the item that you'll have, the public hearing item, you'll have another meeting, February 2nd.
Okay,
Oh, we do have a meeting February 2nd too. Okay.
maybe.
Only if there's no action. Okay, thank you very much.
And I apologize, I missed it. Or does that mean the December 29th meeting is canceled?
Canceled.
Yep.
Okay, so our
Yeah, I'll
next
send an
meeting
e-
is the 20th.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll send an email out,
January.
just letting you know that it's canceled.
And January 20th is also then when we will do elections, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Any other important pieces of information? All right, well, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. Our meeting is adjourned.